We are often led to believe that a woman's magnetic appeal is a direct function of her physical youth and the fleeting, vibrant energy associated with it. The world tells us that attraction is a game of diminishing returns after a certain age, a slow fade into the background. It's a narrative steeped in a collective preoccupation with external appearances, a surface-level value system that measures a woman's worth by her proximity to an impossible and unsustainable ideal. This widespread belief system implies that as years accumulate, a woman must fight an uphill battle against time, desperately trying to hold on to a sense of self that is defined by others' perception of her body. But what if this entire premise is flawed? What if the very things we are told make a woman attractive are actually a hollow substitute for a far more profound and enduring form of magnetism? What if the allure we think we understand is merely a pale imitation of a deeper, more resonant power? This video isn't about the fight against time. It's about a surrender to something far more essential. It's about a different kind of beauty, a different kind of power, and a different kind of sexuality that emerges not from absence, but from presence. A presence that can only be cultivated over a lifetime. Carl Jung would argue that true magnetism is not a superficial trait, but rather a manifestation of inner integration, a psychological wholeness that radiates from within. It is the culmination of a life's journey, an archetypal process that sees a woman step into her full, multifaceted self. This isn't a battle to regain what was lost. It is the blossoming of what was always there, a deep wisdom and self-possession that shines through. It's the moment when a woman stops trying to be a reflection of what others want and starts becoming a living testament to who she truly is. This is not a list of superficial tips. This is an invitation to look deeper, to reconsider everything you thought you knew about what makes a woman truly captivating. It's a journey into the psyche, where we will uncover the 6 things that, according to a more profound psychological view, make a woman over 40 not just attractive, but sexually magnetic in a way that is utterly timeless and completely her own. She is becoming something new, something complete, and in that completion she becomes an undeniable force. The first point on our journey, and perhaps the most significant, is the shedding of the persona. In the first half of life, a woman is often unconsciously constructing a mask, a social persona designed to navigate the expectations of family, career, and society. This mask, while functional, is a protective shell, a kind of cocoon that keeps the authentic self safely hidden away. It is an act of unconscious conformity, a way of fitting in and gaining social acceptance. She might be living a life that looks successful on the outside, but on the inside she feels a subtle but persistent sense of disconnect. The opinions of others become a guiding star, and validation is sought from external sources, making her susceptible to the whims of the world around her. However, as a woman crosses the threshold into her 40s, this persona begins to crack. The weight of maintaining it becomes too heavy, too exhausting. This is not a failure. It is a profound and necessary psychological liberation. The years of suppressing her true nature begin to give way, revealing the unvarnished self that was always waiting beneath the surface. This process can be uncomfortable, even disorienting, as the woman loses the familiar structure of her previous identity. She may question her choices, her relationships, and her direction in life, feeling a deep sense of restlessness. Jung would say this is an essential part of the individuation process. The ego's identification with the persona must be broken for true selfhood to emerge. The woman confronts the psychological structures she has built and finds them wanting. The mask that once provided security now feels like a prison. This is where her true power begins to surface. It is in this moment of breakdown that she finds the courage to stop performing for others and to start living for herself. This shedding of the persona creates an authentic magnetism. It's not about being universally liked. It's about being truly seen. The woman who has dropped her mask radiates a powerful sense of honesty. She no longer has to pretend, and this authenticity is profoundly attractive. She presents herself to the world with a sense of integrity, that is both rare and deeply compelling, a genuine light that can no longer be dimmed. The second quality is the integration of the shadow. The shadow, in Jungian terms, is the part of the psyche that the ego has repressed, the aspects of ourselves we deem unacceptable, shameful, or contrary to our conscious identity. It holds our unexpressed anger, our forgotten desires, our untamed creativity, and our raw, instinctual nature. For much of her life, a woman might have worked diligently to suppress these parts, striving to be good, nice, or acceptable. She may have buried her assertiveness, her ambition, or her wilder side in an attempt to conform to societal expectations. The 40s, however, present a crossroads where the pressure to keep the shadow contained becomes unsustainable. The woman begins to feel the immense cost of this suppression, experiencing a growing sense of inner conflict and exhaustion. She may find herself in situations that force her to confront the very parts of herself she has denied, leading to an often painful but necessary encounter with her own darkness. This is not a descent into negativity, but a brave and conscious choice to face one's full humanity. Jung believed that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives and we will call it fate. The woman who embarks on this journey of shadow integration is no longer a victim of her own repressed nature. She is choosing to reclaim her wholeness. This means accepting her imperfections, embracing her fierceness, and giving voice to the parts of her that were silenced. She learns to own her anger instead of suppressing it, to embrace her vulnerability without shame, and to use her assertive power with intention. The woman who has integrated her shadow becomes a figure of immense psychological complexity and depth. Her magnetism is not one-dimensional. It is a nuanced and layered allure that comes from her ability to hold both light and darkness within her. She is not afraid of her own flaws, and in doing so, she becomes capable of a profound empathy for others. She carries a powerful, earthy presence, a sense of having been through the fire and emerged more complete. The third quality is the discovery of inner authority. For much of her life, a woman may have looked outside herself for validation, relying on the opinions of parents, partners, or peers to guide her decisions and confirm her worth. Her sense of self was often dependent on external approval. Whether she was a good mother, a successful professional, or an appealing partner, this reliance on external validation can create a deep-seated insecurity, a feeling that her own inner compass is unreliable. She may have felt like a passenger in her own life, guided by the desires and expectations of others rather than her own. As she moves past 40, a powerful shift begins to occur. The opinions of others, which once held such sway, start to lose their power. The woman begins to listen more closely to her own inner voice, a wisdom cultivated over decades of lived experience. She learns to trust her own intuition, to make decisions based on what feels right for her, and to forge a path that is uniquely her own. This is not an act of selfishness, but an act of profound self-respect. She no longer needs permission from anyone to be herself. According to Jung, this is part of the process of becoming an individual rather than a collective entity. She is no longer just a daughter, a wife, or an employee. She is a self-governing individual. This inner authority is not a loud, boisterous assertion of power. Rather, it is a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. It is the solid ground beneath her feet, a foundation built on authenticity and self-trust. This newfound inner authority radiates a powerful form of magnetism. The woman who trusts herself carries an unforced presence that is both calming and compelling. She does not need to prove anything to anyone. Her confidence is not an act. It is the natural expression of a woman who has become the ruler of her own psychological kingdom. This self-possession is immensely attractive because it speaks of a rare and profound sense of personal freedom. The fourth quality is the cultivation of wisdom and depth. While youth is often equated with a vibrant energy, it is often a restless and undirected one. The young person may be full of life, but lacks the grounding of experience. In contrast, the woman over 40 has accumulated a lifetime of triumphs and losses, joys and sorrows. She has weathered storms, faced her own vulnerabilities, and emerged with a deeper understanding of herself and the world. This is not a passive process. It is an active cultivation of her inner landscape. She has learned from her mistakes, processed her griefs, and integrated her experiences into a rich tapestry of her being. This isn't about age simply giving a person wisdom. It's about the years giving her the opportunity to find it. She has moved beyond surface-level concerns, no longer interested in trivialities or fleeting fads. Her attention turns inward and toward the essential. She may have a more reflective nature, a greater capacity for empathy, and a more nuanced perspective on human relationships. Her conversation is not filled with gossip, but with substance and insight. She can hold space for others' pain because she has made peace with her own. Jung would see this as the deepening of the soul, a necessary step in the human journey. The second half of life, he argued, is about finding meaning and purpose, and this is where true wisdom blossoms. The woman who has cultivated this depth is like a seasoned vessel, having navigated many different seas. She is not easily swayed by fleeting trends because her values are rooted in her own experience and not in the approval of others. Her magnetism is that of a person who has something profound to offer. She carries a sense of gravitas and stability that is immensely appealing. She is not a fleeting pleasure but a source of lasting connection. Her presence is a sanctuary, a place where people feel safe to be themselves and to engage in meaningful conversation. The wisdom she carries is a beacon, a light that draws others in, not for what she can do for them, but for who she is. The fifth quality is the unfolding of a deeper sensuality and presence. Early in life, sexuality is often an external performance, tied to the desire to be desired. It is a reactive state, a response to the perceived gaze of others. The young woman may feel compelled to present a certain image, to be physically appealing according to a narrow set of criteria. Her connection to her own body might be fraught with insecurity, a constant battle against an impossible ideal. Her sensuality is often a tool, something used to gain attention or validation from the outside world. As she enters her 40s, a profound and liberating shift takes place. The woman no longer needs to perform. Her sensuality becomes an inner experience, a deep and rooted connection to her own body and her senses. She discovers that her body is not an object to be admired, but a sacred temple to be inhabited and enjoyed. This is a journey of reclaiming her own pleasure, of listening to her body's wisdom, and of allowing herself to simply be in the moment without judgment. This is not about impressing others. It is about self-acceptance. Jung's concept of the anima and animus speaks to this, the integration of one's own masculine and feminine energies to become whole. For the woman, this means a deeper acceptance of her innate bodily wisdom. She learns to move with a quiet confidence, to connect with her senses, and to inhabit her own skin with a comfort that is profoundly attractive. Her presence becomes an anchor, grounded, calm, and fully here. She is not thinking about what she needs to do next or how she is being perceived. She is simply present. This is a magnetism that is both gentle and powerful. It is not about a loud declaration of desire, but a quiet, powerful invitation to connect on a deeper level. The woman who is comfortable in her own body and fully present in the moment radiates an irresistible aura. She is a full-bodied experience, a person who can hold a gaze without flinching and a silence without awkwardness. Her magnetism is a stillness, a deep well of being that others are drawn to instinctively. The sixth and final quality, which is the culmination of all the others, is the unapologetic self. This is the state of being a woman who is completely and utterly herself, without reservation or compromise. For decades, she may have apologized for her ambition, for her emotions, for her desires, or for simply taking up space. She may have made herself smaller, quieter, or less of a presence in order to avoid conflict or to please others. The internal dialogue was often one of self-doubt and retreat, a continuous negotiation with her own worth. In her 40s, this constant negotiation begins to fall away. She has faced her shadows, embraced her authority, and cultivated a deep wisdom. She no longer has the energy or the desire to shrink for anyone else's comfort. She becomes an undeniable force of nature, a person who stands in her own power with a fierce and quiet dignity. This is not an act of defiance, but an act of liberation. She is no longer trying to fit into a mold. She is creating her own. Jung would say that this is the final stage of the individuation process. The woman becomes whole and therefore dangerous. Not dangerous in a threatening way, but dangerous in the sense that she is no longer containable. She cannot be controlled, manipulated, or easily dismissed. Her power is rooted in her autonomy, her self-possession, and her unshakable sense of self. She does not need external validation because her validation comes from within. The magnetism of the unapologetic self is an A-force. She is a woman who has become her own universe. She is a source of inspiration, a living testament to the power of authenticity. Her presence is magnetic because she is not asking for anything from you. She is simply offering herself in all her complexity and glory. She has become a beacon of self-worth, and that light is impossible to ignore. This is not just about attraction. It is about reverence. Do any of these 6 qualities resonate with you? Have you felt the quiet stirrings of change, the urge to shed the old and embrace the new? Or have you found yourself in a place of discomfort, a sense of unease that you can't quite name? Perhaps you are feeling the growing pains of a deeper awakening. You are not alone. You are simply on the path to becoming more of yourself. This is a journey, not a destination, and it's one that countless women are embarking on right now. If you found this video insightful, please like it so we can share this message with more women who need to hear it. Do you have a story of your own transformation you'd like to share? Let me know in the comments below which of these 6 qualities you are most drawn to, or which one you are currently cultivating in your own life. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video, where we will continue to explore the depths of the human psyche. The woman who is truly magnetic is not the one who fights against her age, but the one who embraces it as an invitation to go deeper. She is not a fading light but a radiant sun. You are not losing your youth, you are gaining your power. And in that power, you are becoming whole, magnificent, and undeniably magnetic. Remember, you are not alone, you are awakening.